All right. Thanks for joining us on Let Me Talk to My Customer. Rich, Tyler, and myself, Chad Counts, we're here. We're grateful you guys are joining us this week. It's a great time to be an auto recycler. Record sales are going gangbusters across the country right now, having tremendous demand for our supply and our product. Rich and I are managing sales teams. We're doing sales trainings. Our closing series and our new salesperson series are both going off. Have been wonderful so far, and we're on multiple continents now, which is wonderful as well. So, just the possibilities and the options are really coming together, and we're grateful for all of you out there who are joining us on these podcasts, enjoying the content, as well as those we're getting to serve and work with each week. So, Rich, how are you doing this week?
Doing great. It's a wet day in Austin, Texas today.
Oh man, we are dry and just beautiful, 80 degrees out here, but at least maybe the humidity will lessen a little bit in Austin, but probably not. All right. So this week we're talking about we're going to have a new maybe 2 or 3 part series here on everything is selling. Selling being a lifestyle, selling being a mindset, an attitude. There really is no limit to where the skills that are involved in being a successful sales professional can take you in terms of your own interpersonal relationships, your networking, as well as just customers and business. So I find myself thinking often about the principles of selling and trying to be in the moment when I'm with family, colleagues, friends, etc. Especially as more and more this year we haven't been together as much. Really keying in on other people and focusing on them more in our time together. So I think it's been a blessing in that regard with everything that's happened this year. So. This week's topic is going to be specifically on persuasion versus manipulation, right? I think a lot of times the sales approaches, the tactics, the techniques that we utilize can come off feeling very forced or manipulated or unwelcome from the customer's perspective. And while it's not that different ultimately from how that is executed or what's happening there, that feeling of being guided and led and served is tremendously different than when you feel like you're having sales forced upon you. So, Rich, as we get started here on looking through persuasion versus manipulation, can you think of how some of your experience has been as a salesperson? Because I think sometimes we slip into being manipulative at times too. I mean, we're not perfect, either from your end as a salesperson or as a customer, when you've experienced that subtle difference between the two and what its ultimate effect was on you in that situation.
Sure. I mean, I think of a lot of times, specifically in the interactions that our salespeople are finding themselves in, that it could be the difference between, say, like an arm wrestle versus holding somebody by the hand and leading them in a direction. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the salespeople we work with think it's more like the arm wrestle. You know, that they're going to win this sale through strength. You know. Mm-hmm. And through manipulation, and that they actually probably are going to have a lot more success in trying the hand holding and trying the leading to their customer down a certain path.
Sure. I think along those lines, I've met or I've been friends with people that I would consider just naturally gifted people in terms of how they read other people and how they're able to get what they want from other people. And while early on, I think that could be seen as a real asset in terms of them becoming a salesperson, they might be quick to have success. But if they don't develop that ability to actually really deliver on what they're offering and getting what they want, then they'll find themselves running aground very quickly and running into problems and running into situations where they're not able to succeed. So first, as we're starting out here diving into this topic, let's define the manipulation and persuasion for you so you can understand exactly what we're talking about, what some of those differences are. We spent a lot of time on our sales podcast talking about different processes, different ways to execute a sales call, sales interaction. And so for our purposes, those techniques are the same. Let's assume that we're talking about the exact same technique being executed in a situation where it's manipulative, and talk about it being executed in a situation where it's persuasive. So when it's manipulative, it's executing that sales process on the customer, right? I'm using a technique on somebody else, not necessarily concerned with whether it's good for them, whether it's helpful for them or beneficial for them. I'm using that technique on them as a means to achieve what I am looking for as a salesperson. And again, a lot of us slip into this, right? We might have certain goals or certain objectives we're trying to hit. And we, at times, will get overly focused on that end goal and that end result. And because of that, our whole sales interaction, our whole sales process is very monofocused on ourselves, our internal thoughts, our internal desires, our internal needs. And we lose sight of its impact on the other person, or even our active listening dissipates and we're not really hearing or taking into account how this is affecting the other person. In terms of persuasion, this is when you're executing that process for the customer, for the prospect. So I'm not doing these techniques solely to get what I'm after and get the sale. I'm doing this so I better understand their needs and their concerns, and that the product that they end up with ultimately meets their expectations, meets their needs, and delivers what I'm hoping it will for them. So, Rich, we listen to a lot of phone calls. When you catch salespeople being somewhat tunnel vision or that monofocus where it's really about them getting the sale and getting the result that they want, I don't know that they necessarily have that mindset that I'm going to manipulate this customer, but they kind of white knuckle their way through the process. How do you see a lot of those interactions ending up, and what do you see as some of the consequences of that mentality, of that way of thinking?
Okay, so I see a lot of those interactions ending up without any kind of sense of the level of sales opportunity after the first phone call. A lot of times we're talking about, phone bangers come to mind, the guys that are just burning through calls in 30 or 45 seconds. And that tunnel vision is leading them directly to give a price as quickly as possible and get off the phone and get to the next call, for example. So I think part of the result of that is not having any idea of where their sales opportunity lies, or what might turn over in the next couple of business days. They're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants.
And would you say that a salesperson that is in that tunnel vision mindset, how likely are they to hear or anticipate a customer's objections or concerns?
Never, unless somebody's bringing it to their attention. For the salespeople that are listening, if you're thinking, well, no, I'm trying to get through the call as fast as I possibly can. Well, okay, maybe this is stop, reassess. Let's think about, what it is we're prioritizing here.
That phone banger mentality, I think, is exactly a good one to hone in on here, right? So I'm making sales, I'm getting work orders, I'm getting transactions solely by volume. It's not because I'm necessarily executing well or taking care of my customer. I'm going through it so fast and I am focused on the sale. I am focused very much on getting a sale. So that aspect is good. But whether or not I get the sale is solely by how well did my product just hit the mark. It's not really about something I'm doing, right? If you are able to hear the customer, anticipate objections or that sort of thing, if I'm bulldogging my way through a call, all of a sudden that derails me and I just say, well, all of a sudden the transaction's over, right? I run into an objection, the sale opportunity is done, and I'm on to the next call. Okay. The likelihood that you're going to build repeat customers off that is significantly lower. You might have a run where you're doing pretty well with the customer, getting what they need, banging it out, and that sort of thing. But I think the long-term consequences of this is, if you can't anticipate the customer's concerns or objections on the initial call and interaction, and not only when they bring that up, you don't respond well or manage it well, how well are you likely to deal with when they have a problem, when there is a credit, when there is a return, when they have an issue, right? I mean, I would think that mentality, I would see a lot with the phone bangers, credits or unhappy customers down the road because you don't call them back. You see it come to voicemail. Oh, shoot, I start ducking calls. I start trying to avoid that because that is preventing me from continuing to just run full speed ahead for the next sale and the next sale and the next sale. Do you see that sort of transpiring for those salespeople?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you will have good runs as a manipulator. You will be able to make sales if you get keyed in on that, and you will have at least some short-term success in being able to do that. But anybody that I've seen that is a mega salesperson, a big dog, a top dog at their facility in their region, they're not a one-trick pony. They have outstanding relationships with their customers. They know what their customer needs. They know how what their work does contributes to the success or failure of their customers. And that's other recyclers, that is collision shops, that's repair. They have an understanding of, I'm not just selling to hit a number at the end of the day, right? That's my objective. I want to hit those numbers. I want to hit those goals. But I'm at a much better place as a salesperson if I've got an account and a relationship ongoing that I know I'm going to have 5,000 in sales to this customer every month. I'm going to have 10,000 in sales to this customer every month. And I don't get there by running through every transaction with the exact same attitude and the exact same mindset. So in order to persuade somebody, Rich, in order to put ourselves in a position to persuade someone, what do we need to know? What do we need to focus on in order to do that well?
I think that's the operative question. What do we need to know? And what we need to know is what their needs are. We need to have an understanding of what it is that's what it is that they're looking to do.
Sure. Yeah. And their motivations can vary, right? And this is where we go back to, you cannot persuade people simply by telling them information, right? You have to persuade them by asking. You have to be able to take that opportunity to say, hey, this is not about me. What is it in particular you're looking for? That is going to drive a tremendous difference in what people's preferences are, okay? When we talk about value, I mean, how widespread, how different can value be to customers, Rich?
Huge. I mean, I was just listening to a call for a guy that was looking for like a 91 F-150 engine, and he was ready to pay whatever it costs to get one because he loves his F-150 and he wants to get it back on the road. I mean, it was ridiculous. So value to everybody is different. I think a lot of seasoned salespeople always think value is price. And I know a lot of times the message that we preach is that's not always the case,
Right. Absolutely. It could be immediacy is the value. It could be security. It could be warranty is the value. It could be, best dollar, right? We've worked with companies that will not sell above certain mileage points or have certain restrictions. And like, I mean, that's okay, but what about your customer that's what they value? They just need an option. They just need something to get them going just a little bit further, right? To last a standard warranty or a little beyond that. So this is the statement I would go back to. And again, I think a lot of this applies. We're talking about selling is everything, or everything is selling. These are techniques that you can use in your personal relationship. You can use them with your kids, you can use them with your spouse, you can use them with your friends, you could use them across the board. But if you start using these techniques in a manipulative way, there's going to be very extreme consequences, right? I mean, you're going to risk a lot of cost by being so short-sighted. So how you can make sure, kind of the mantra I would give you to make sure that you are acting as a persuader and somebody that's looking to serve is this quote from Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life you want if you're willing to help enough people in life get what they want, right? So if I'm willing to sacrifice putting my needs first, and I'm willing to put you, the customer, you take the stand, you, the prospect, my son or daughter, my spouse, if I key in and focus on your needs, what you want, and delivering what you want, then when I ask for what I need, I'm in a good position because I'm taking care of you first, right? As a salesperson, where this comes into effect is, if you set up to where you're outside, you're getting all these components of what the customer is requesting, right? They already call us with a part need. They already call us with that. We don't really need to, at that point, we're not selling them on that part. We're selling them on all the peripheral benefits and conditions and mileage and time. We're selling them on those components. The part is already agreed to. That's what we're talking about. Now we're in a persuasive position to find out which of these options are right. Because more often than not, we have more than one option to sell. So ultimately, you're coming back to, okay, what is to the benefit of this customer? And that's value, right? We go back to selling to value. I do that. If I deliver what you need, I deliver the goods and the service and everything that you need. Not only am I increasing my likelihood that I'm going to get it sold on this call, but I'm increasing the likelihood that the next time they have that need, the next time they have that problem, they'll come back to me, right? The other thing that does is I think that completely shifts our mindset on credits and our mindset on when there are problems. My goal from the outset was to provide you what you needed. And if there's any issue with that during the life of the part, during the life of that contract of our standard warranty, I'm obliged to put that first. Oh man, okay, that's awful. I'm so sorry that didn't work out for you. Let's go ahead and get that taken care of like we wanted to the first time, right? So you wear that as a badge of honor. You see that as an opportunity to step forward and to provide care, to provide service. That's still selling. Taking care of the problem, even when it comes back, is still selling. You're still maintaining that relationship. You're still taking care of that relationship. And that's a big deal. We're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. And putting ourselves in a position where we have to be is problematic. But if we come with the mindset of, I'm always going to be here, I'm always going to listen, I'm always going to take into account what's important for you, and I'm going to do my best to provide you that service and that level of product or what you need so that you can get back on the road and continue being successful, right? So that you can keep your customer happy and your customer keeps coming back and you have a good review, okay? So that's a quick snippet for us this week, persuasion versus manipulation. I think those are subtle differences, but I see one with a ton of longevity. It might not always deliver the fastest success, but I think one is something you can build a solid foundation on, not only in your professional career as a salesperson, but something if you took that mantle and you took that desire, even from a networking front or in your personal life, you're going to increase the satisfaction of other people. And just by that, you're going to put yourself and make your life a lot more enjoyable. You're going to have a lot more success in life, both personally and professionally. Rich, any final thoughts on persuasion versus manipulation?
No, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, I definitely think of it as an arm wrestle versus leading somebody by the hand down a place where you both want to get to. And it sounds like what you're saying is that it is very much just a change of mindset. You said applying the same techniques, but thinking about it in a different way as far as where it is that you're looking to get to will absolutely help foster the relationships that salespeople need in order to be able to have continuous growth.
Absolutely. It is really the difference in manipulation. This is adversarial, where you're an obstacle for me to clear. My only goal is just to clear you as an obstacle. It's not as much, are you happy about it? Do you like it or not? And the other is it's collaborative. It's a team, right? One is incredibly more likely to lead to a lasting, ongoing relationship, and the other, who cares, right? It's just short term, just getting it done now. You would have to be insanely successful at manipulating to be able to come close to competing and sniffing with being a persuasive, helpful salesperson. Okay. So that goes back to tools are important. Tools, techniques, they help us a lot, but our mindset, who we are, what we bring to the table, that comes from not just what we do 8 to 5. A lot of it's hard to have this mindset if you're not working on yourself as a person. For some of you, this may come very naturally. For others, this is something you need to think about. This is something you need to spend time making sure your motivations are lined up and in the right place for you to have long-term success. So, all right. We've had great responses to the podcast over this last month. We thank you so much for all our new listeners. Thanks for being with us. You can find Rich or I on the Counts Business Consulting Facebook page. We're pretty good at getting back to that. You can always email me at crcounts@countsbusinessconsulting.com. Find me on LinkedIn. And again, we got our video format going on YouTube, and we've got our audio on our normal podcast channels. We hope you enjoy this. It's really a blessing and great opportunity for us to be a voice with you guys. And any way that we can serve you guys as well, help you get what you need, reach those plateaus, reach those new levels that you and your company are trying to get to. We'd love to be a part of that if we're so lucky to. So thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks. Take care.